Now residents are on edge as police search for their suspects. KTBS crime reporter Sarah Maki joins us live in the studio with more from those still dealing with the damage. Sarah, we have video from the scene.
Well, that's a lot.
From the courts, the state appeals court in Shreveport heard an appeal today from the family of Glenn Ford, who served nearly 30 years for a murder he did not commit. Ford's family is appealing the ruling that Ford should not be compensated for wrongful imprisonment. Ford died last June, but his attorney wants to get compensation for his survivors, up to $330,000. Ford was sentenced to death for the 1983 robbery and murder of jeweler Isidore Roseman. He was released from Angola 2 years ago after Caddo prosecutors got evidence that someone else committed that crime.
I get very upset when I think about Mr. Ford receiving a $20 card with the statement for your inconvenience as a result of spending 30 years on death row for a crime he didn't commit. I think that's unacceptable.
Now it could take up to 6 weeks for a decision to be made. Fire and police investigators are still piecing together what happened to a Shreveport man Monday morning, his death now being called a homicide. Shreveport Fire was called to a home on the 9,000 block of Woolworth Road for a fire just before 6 a.m. Within minutes, the fire was out, but inside the house was a man's body. Shreveport police say the victim is 55-year-old Brian Savage. We're told he had obvious blunt force trauma to his head and a gunshot wound to his chest. Police are now piecing together the clues. SPD says they were called to the house 2 weeks ago for a burglary and that the victim's father was also recently burglarized.
So what do you think, this is a targeted attack?
At this time, we don't really have that information. We are looking into that lead, but right now we can't not say yes or no about if it might be connected or not.
Now there are security cameras on the property, but police say they were not working. Police are also looking for Savage's missing work truck. Take a good look. It's a 2015 Ford F-250 with the wording Eagle Compression stamped on both doors and 019 underneath the logo. There is a $1,000 reward for information. Just call Crime Stoppers. Just in time for African American History Month, the Shreveport City Council is going to vote to accept some grant money to upkeep a park honoring a late great figure in Shreveport's history. Council will be voting this week to accept funding to expand the C.C. Antoine Park and Heritage Place Park. The money comes from the state capital outlay budget. It was passed last year and secured by Senator Greg Tarver. They'll be voting to accept $450,000 to contribute to the park's renovation and expansion.
C.C. Antoine, a very important historic figure for us, especially during Black History Month. You know, this is somebody who we want to remember and celebrate, and so to be able to have these additional funds to put towards a park that's named in his honor, it's just a great timing and something we're very appreciative to have.
Now this is part of the Choice Neighborhoods Project, which is a plan to redevelop areas west of downtown Shreveport. It's funded through a grant by the federal government.
All right, still to come. Still to come on KTBS 3 News at 10. Our Storm Team 3 still keeping a close eye on those skies tonight.
That's right. We'll have more on that rough weather that could be headed our way. Joe Haynes will have the details after the break.
Life Services.
And the road ahead for people with developmental disabilities is uncertain. With lawmakers in Louisiana racing to balance the budget, services to the disabled and elderly could be slashed to the bone. KTBS 3's Aaron Buchanan takes a closer look in tonight's in-depth report. Lawmakers are working in a special session to close that nearly $1 billion gap in the budget by June 30th. Colleges and universities are also bracing themselves for $42 million in cuts.
Now, advocates for the disabled urge you to contact your legislator about this issue and find out what to do. You can do that by going to ktbs.com.
Now, all of the items made by clients of Evergreen Life Services are sold in their gift shop. That money goes back into the art program at the facility, which operates mainly on private donations. They're open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. They're also having an open house on March 12th. You can visit them at 2101 Highway 80 in Houghton or visit our website. We'll have a link there to find out more about their art. Wonderful story by Aaron. And in Sabine Parish, a Florian police officer is behind bars busted for drugs. 30-year-old Jessica Reed of Zwally charged on Monday with possession of meth, possession of a gun in the presence of an illegal drug, and malfeasance in office. Members of the Tri-Parish Narcotics Task Force arrested her while she was on duty. That's your news update. Joe is next with a look at some severe weather that could be heading your way this morning.